Hi, everybody, and welcome to Math with Mr. W. And here we are with that next session called the proportion. Now, notice I haven't erased the word I think that's really valuable here, factoring, because I want to impress upon you that when you're reducing fractions, we have to use the correct language. Make sure they're using that word. We're factoring. We're factoring out the number 1. We had 4/8 equaled 1/2. And in the last video, we had 12/18 became 2/3. What's really amazing about these, and we can't just stop right here. And this is what we have to do. And I really believe if we don't do this, we're cutting off everything and we're reducing the student's ability to learn. So now, the kids know their multiplication tables. Now, let's look at this. How do we know we're correct? So our children have these written down, and you've checked, oh yeah, you got it right, and the students say, yeah, I got it right. But how do they know they're correct before they even handed it in? How do they know? They don't even have to worry about it. And remember, when we added back to check our subtraction, we subtracted to get rid of our addition to make sure that we were correct. So why can't we do that here? We're going to make sure we're correct because we're going to use the laws of proportion. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply on the diagonals. We're going to multiply 1 times 8, and we're going to multiply 2 times 4. If those products, you multiply 2 numbers together, you get a product. So the product here is 8. The product here is 8. They're equal. That tells your student they did it correctly. They did it correctly. Because they have an equal fraction on both sides. It may not be completely reduced, but they at least have gotten far enough correctly. Maybe they got down to 2/4. 2/4 is still correct, but it's not completely reduced. You may say, okay, you get half credit. But when they check it, they'll say, yeah, but I did it partially correct. But this is their way of checking it. Make sure they can understand how to check it. So let's take a look at this second one. We said that 12/18 turns into 2/3. So that means that 2 times 18 must equal, it must equal 3 times 12. If it doesn't, then we've made a mistake. Okay? So it's okay to make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. So let's take a look. 2 times 18. Well, 2 times 18 is 36. And what's 3 times 12? Well, that's 36 as well. They're both 36. That means we've reduced that fraction correctly, and we now have a proportion. 12 is to 18 as 2 is to 3. 12 is to 18 as 2 is to 3. Now look at this, folks. I don't want to leave without showing you one more piece of magic. Okay, so let's take a look at this real closely because this is going to help your student next year when we start to add fractions together. Now, let's take a close look. How many times does 3 go into 18? By division. He's learning division this year. He knows that 3 times what is 18? That's 6. So 3 goes into 18 6 times. How about we divide 6 into 12? Because that's the division sign right there. What does that give us? 2. Oh boy, and there it is right over there. 2. And if that doesn't work out, folks, again, it's not a proportion. 2 goes into 8 4 times, 4 goes into 4 1 time. We have ourselves a proportion. We've looked inside of numbers. We've not just looked at which ones are bigger than others. We've looked inside of numbers and found the magic of what's inside. See you next time on Math with Mr. W.